To me, coming back to Faslane Peace Camp, it's like coming home. It's coming back to the place I grew up. It's coming back to a familiar place. It's really the only place that I have where I could really sort of call it home. When I was younger, the camp looked almost exactly the way it does now. It still had the same sort of feeling, the same random jumble of caravans and shelters. Because it's so old and because such a variety of people have lived here, it's got its very own character. So this is like a typical peace camp caravan, heated by a stove. We've got polo wood here, all the lights with candles, and yeah, pretty comfortable beds. This can sleep 2 people. And this is the communal building, so the kitchen area is here, and then there's another sitting area in there. This was only supposed to be temporary about 10 years ago, I think it was, because there was a massive static caravan just like that one placed here, but it burned down, which is often how caravans disappear here. So this shelter was built to be used as a communal space for people to sit in. And there's also the fire pit around there.
Sam was always brilliant at welcoming new people to the camp and showing them around. He loved to show people around and tell them all the different spots on the camp, show them his tree house and explain to them about what we did here. So when at school they learnt about not talking to strangers, I think he found that quite difficult. The concept of a stranger was a bit alien really, because we didn't do strangers really here. If we had something on here and we'd all be sat having a meeting, then you'd go out and find Sam and all the other kids out having their meeting in the tree house and sitting with an agenda and going through it.
Chat, eat, drink. Obviously I didn't drink, I was 7, but yeah, people used to drink and yeah, sing songs. There's often people, like there's one person who could play guitar who would be there playing away. So. And in the summer we have the fire outside that people can sit around, so it's a lot nicer. My parents met at a peace walk. They were coming here to Faslane to protest, and they met there, and they were involved primarily against nuclear weapons, against the cruise missiles, and against Polaris, which was the system before Trident. My dad lived here for 9 years, and my mum lived here for 6. They split up when I was quite young, and my mum moved to a house in Helensburgh, and my dad stayed in the camp, so I spent half my time in a house in the town and half the time here in the camp.
I actually think that bringing kids up in a community is a really good way. It's very supportive of each other. People would often say to me, well, how on earth do you manage to bring children up at the peace camp with no running hot water and no electricity? And I always said, I don't know, but I really don't know how people bring up kids in high-rise flats without, family and support around them, because I was never lost for babysitters and people to help out with things.
I got to school on a school bus. So yeah, I used to get picked up at the end of the camp, and most of the other children their parents worked in the base, so they'd be all on the school bus, and the school bus would stop at the peace camp to pick me up. School was pretty difficult. Yeah, bullied quite a lot because of what my parents did and because of what their parents did. But it was also about our own beliefs. I mean, even at a young age, I was very against nuclear weapons, and at a young age, a lot of the kids were very for nuclear weapons because that's what their parents did, and so you'd be quite surprised how a political debate could form between some like 6-year-olds.
When Sam was 15, he decided he wanted to get involved in a protest and be arrested. And I had to separate out from how I felt about, my little boy wanting to do something kind of like that and end up in a police cell, to how I actually felt about the whole thing, because he wasn't supposed to get old enough to have to do this. We were supposed to get rid of these weapons before then. All right, the world will still need some things sorting out, but the first digger and porter cabin arrived for the Trident work the day I went to hospital to have him, and I really did hope that we would have been rid of these weapons before we got to this age.
Ezra. That's the name of the caravan.
Why is it called that?
Because where it used to be positioned, the police used to sit with their car every night and look at it. So the person who was staying in here wrote arse backwards on the top of the caravan, so the coppers could sit and stare at his arse all night. So tell me about your first action, Sam.
First action?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a funny one. Have you heard about this? Right. We went off to do this blockade of Coolport, and it was my first action, and I was really scared. I could hear my heart beating in my ear, because I was like, it's just going away. And we were in the back of this van. It was a small Ford Escort van, and there was a woman, Roz, and she's in a wheelchair, but she was in the front seat of the car, and the wheelchair was in the back, and this guy, Teapot, was going to push it out of the van, and then, wow, somebody put Roz into it, and then we're all going to run down this road and blockade the nuclear base. And we didn't think the police were going to be there when we arrived, but they were. So we pulled up, and the van opened, and he was so full of like energy that as soon as the van opened, he just ran with this wheelchair. And the plans went all to chaos, and we all got arrested for blocking the road defectively. It's quite funny. It's quite a good experience.
Well, I think it's really important that we teach our children to be responsible for the world that they live in and feel that they can actually change things. So I suppose for Sam being brought up here, he was constantly with a group of people who were trying to change things and didn't, accept that the world just was the way it was. I just hope Sam gets to do the things that he wants to do and he's happy in them, and I'm, support him and back him up, whatever that is. But I just hope we all have a future.
Main thing I can think of that's here that was actually put here the year I was born is the Hiroshima tree. It's a cherry tree brought from Japan. It's to commemorate the bombing of Hiroshima, where it was killed hundreds of thousands of people, and was the first time a nuclear weapon was ever used in war. And Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the bombings there, they still play a massive part in most anti-nuclear protesters in their minds. Every year we commemorate that